The stream is live.
The stream is live. So,
Nice.
welcome to No Butts About It. I believe we're live on YouTube as well. So,
Wow, hi guys. This is my first ever recording. We've never done this before. Wow, this is really cool to be on YouTube for the first time ever. I'm Chus. This is Josh. Josh actually hosts the show. Okay, we actually are on a brand new platform called StreamYard. We actually have no idea how this thing works. We usually have used Riverside. When we were using Riverside, we would go live. It would play our little intro, and then we kind of knew when we would be starting. This time, it just said you're live. So we're just assuming that we're live right now.
You want to talk about intros? We're live. We can do an intro though. Here's an intro.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Butts About It. We're obviously on a new platform, trying out some new things. I am Josh Butts. That is Chus in his basement in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you are hanging out with us today. Thank you so much. We have a whole bunch of new subscribers, and I'd love to talk to some of them here in the comments. So feel free to comment.
I can confirm we are live. I just got the notification that No Butts About It, hip, drop tackles, and NFL updates is live. So
okay, good. So Chus is a bit nervous, guys, about being live for the first time, but he'll be okay.
Yeah, I can't believe of all these people that are watching me right now.
So Chus, let's first get into something easy for you. The whole Pittsburgh quarterback situation. Your guys' whole entire quarterback room has been flipped upside down.
Yes.
And what's going on over there? Obviously, we know Russell Wilson is the starter, but Kenny Pickett's no longer in Pittsburgh. Mitchell Trubisky's no longer in Pittsburgh. Mason Rudolph's no longer in Pittsburgh. You got Justin Fields for a 6th round pick, essentially, to be your backup. So what's going on over there?
Wow. I mean, the quarterback room was flipped within a month. I mean, they call it March Madness for basketball, but man, it must have been March Madness for the Steelers as well, because my goodness, who I thought was going to be in the quarterback room going into the 2024 Steelers season, I was completely wrong because, well, first and foremost, I didn't actually think that Russell Wilson was going to get signed by the Steelers. I don't know if we talked about this before on a show, Josh, or if I've talked about it just with you one-on-one, but I really didn't think Russell Wilson was going to get signed to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just figured that, we were going to get, we were just going to roll with Kenny Pickett. Maybe we try to re-sign Mason Rudolph because he did really good for us at the end of the season, and then maybe draft a quarterback or, maybe get like some like Ryan Tannehill type thing. Well, as free agency approached, Mason Rudolph was pretty much being hinted and reported that Mason Rudolph just didn't want to re-sign with Pittsburgh. He wanted a fresh start. He wanted to go somewhere else. And although I still held on to hope, whenever I got the notification that he had signed with the Tennessee Titans, I realized that the hope was lost and that he was going to be in Tennessee. I made a whole video about it. You can go check out that video on the channel. It is about Mason Rudolph or Will Levis, who's going to start. A lot of people have various opinions, so you can throw your opinion in that video as well in the comment section. But yeah, so Mason Rudolph is over in Tennessee now. And then we, as Steelers fans, got this crazy report that Russell Wilson was going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a veteran minimum contract, which is a pretty big deal considering that the Steelers, number one, just signed this, former Super Bowl champion and for a veteran minimum contract being like 1 point, I think like it's 1.8, I think it's somewhere, It's like 1 point something, but either way, like that is ridiculous. I mean, I understand because he's getting paid, a heck of a lot of money from Denver because they cut him a year before his contract ended or whatever, but they have to pay him a lot of money. And so he's coming in on the veteran minimum. And I was like, all right, this is going to be kind of cool. Well, basically when Mason Rudolph left, I figured it was going to be Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, and a 3rd-string quarterback that we would probably be drafting. I really wasn't thinking Ryan Tannehill. At this point, when Russell Wilson had signed with the Steelers and Kenny Pickett was going to be behind him, most people were assuming that Justin Fields was just going to stay in Chicago I guess for the time being. I mean, I don't know what you thought, but I was reading reports that people were saying Chicago wanted too much for Fields. I was reading people that just weren't really getting that much interest in him anymore when they were getting all these other quarterbacks for, different prices. They didn't have to give up a first or a second round pick, and they could just pay, Ryan Tannehill. I keep saying Ryan Tannehill. He hasn't even signed yet.
You got something against Ryan Tannehill.
It's the only quarterback left, man. He's the only quarterback left. But like some of these other quarterbacks out there. But nonetheless, all of a sudden, then randomly throughout the week, all of these like weird reports started coming out about Kenny Pickett, and then it was like not being happy about Russell Wilson, and the fact of the matter that Kenny Pickett was going to have to, was that Russell Wilson was going to be the starter and Kenny Pickett wasn't going to start. And next thing you know, on Friday, I got a text from my buddy Connor, who has been on the show before, and he texted me and goes, bro. And I'm like, what? Because this was only like 24, maybe 36 hours after Russell Wilson had signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, it was so quick. And he's like, bro, he was like, every single day something weird's been happening. He was like, did you see the trade? I was like, what trade? He was like, Kenny Pickett just went to the Eagles. And I was like, are you kidding me? and then I looked, and it was just pretty much a pick swap. So it wasn't like we really got anything out of Kenny Pickett. I mean, I didn't expect to get a lot out of him because we haven't really seen a whole lot from Kenny Pickett for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I think he finished with like 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions on his career. So it's not like it's anything like magnificent. But nonetheless, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happened, because the Steelers had this idea that when they drafted Kenny Pickett, and I know a lot of people are going to, have their own opinions about it, but when they drafted him, they were kind of looking at it as like, we can't pass up on this opportunity to draft a pick quarterback, when we had the opportunity to draft Dan Marino and we passed up on him, and he is now a Hall of Fame quarterback. We can't do this again. And that's why, Pittsburgh fans were rallying. He went to Pitt, and this Kenny Pickett experiment, or whatever you want to call it, it was kind of in shambles. And we kind of already know that Kenny Pickett was a little frustrated that he, although was healthy and Mason Rudolph went in, he felt that he was healthy enough to play, and that Mason Rudolph, should, I guess, sit behind him because he was healthy enough to play. But Mason Rudolph had the hot hand. He got us into playoffs, and Kenny was a little mad about that. And then there were reports that said, no, Kenny's not mad. It's all false reports and all. It was just all up in the air. But like as this rolled around, it blew up more or less. What were you going to say? Were you going to say something? Or
Silver Wolf says Kenny Pickett is an American icon.
Kenny Pickett is. Go ahead.
So, Chus, you said Kenny Pickett was mad, and we've got all these rumors swirling. Oh, now he's so toxic as well. So was Kenny Pickett being toxic? What was he saying? Was he saying, I'm not going to sit behind Russell Wilson? Was he saying, I'm not going to sit behind Mason? Was he saying, I am going to be the starter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? It's never been any other way, and I am not getting sat. You can trade me otherwise. What was happening?
Yeah, so I think what happened was, obviously I felt like Kenny Pickett's head got a little too big, because obviously, you come from Pitt, you break all Dan Marino's records, you get drafted in the first round. You're the only first round quarterback to get drafted that year in the 2022 draft, because everyone else like Malik Willis and all those guys got drafted way further down the line, which probably makes sense in this quarterback class. And when it came to Kenny Pickett, like when they drafted him, they pretty much promised him that, Kenny, you are going to be our future starter someday. We don't know when, but for this year, we're going to run with Mitch. And then again, Mitch did not do that well. And then they made that audible, and they were like, all right, we're throwing Kenny in like week 5 or whatever week it was. And Kenny went in and started, decent bit of the rest of the season, minus all the 7 million concussions he had that season. And I think there was always just this assumption in his head that now that he has already started, he is going to start for Pittsburgh for the foreseeable future. Now, whenever he got hurt again, and then Mitch went in, and then Mitch played for 2 weeks, did terrible. And this is the 2023 season now. He did bad. And then you have Mason Rudolph go in and went out for us the last 3 games of the season. And Kenny was, healthy to come back in. Kenny was like, why am I not starting? I'm the starter. I'm the big guy. And like, it kind of was like a little weird because, a lot of people in the fan base were like, yeah, this is a little strange for him to get so angry about this when Mason just, killed killed Cincinnati. I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't want to make you sad, but like literally killed Cincinnati at 38-14 or 38, whatever. That was a lot of points for the Pittsburgh Steelers, or 31 or whatever. Consider what was our high this year? Our high was literally against you. I mean, that's what I mean by I don't mean like actually kill. I mean, when I think of actually killing, I think of Miami defeating Denver. That is killing. But like no, but we beat Cincinnati by a substantial amount that, you know, we hadn't in multiple years at this point, probably. And Kenny was mad that he wasn't starting. And then Mason eventually, you know, we lost in the wild card, and, you know, and then Kenny was like, oh no, I'm fine with Mason starting. They showed him like on the sideline being happy with Mason and stuff. And then all of a sudden March rolls around and Russell Wilson on a veteran minimum, which honestly I think would be great, because we've talked about this with New York with Zach Wilson. Like Zach Wilson sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, well, should have sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers went in for 3 plays last season and tore his Achilles and has been out the entire year. But this would be good for someone like Kenny Pickett, who is still supposedly going to be your future guy, and you're sitting behind Russell Wilson for a year, who's been to 2 Super Bowls. He has that experience. Why wouldn't you want that experience? But Kenny in his head said he is the future starter. He is starter ready, and he is ready now. And he didn't feel that by having Russell Wilson, because initially they said that there was going to be a quarterback competition. And I think he thought that it was going to be him versus Mason. And then when Russell Wilson came in, they pretty much told him, buddy, there is no quarterback competition. Russ is going to start this year. You're on the bench. And I think he got mad. And I kind of understand, like, yeah, you're getting mad for that reason. You're like, okay, yeah, you've been promised a bunch of things, and then it's just kind of got the rug pulled out from under you. But as a team player, as a guy that, you know, says that he loves Pittsburgh so much and whatnot, like, when you want to stick it out, when you want to learn some skills. But no, he decided that he wanted to be traded. He wanted the fresh start as well. And they shipped him off to Philly, and now he's happy because he's close to home. This was like his hometown team and stuff. It's really weird, like that, you know, the whole situation in a nutshell. But yeah, he's over in Philly now. He's pretty much cemented himself as a bench backup for the rest of his life. I mean, he had the chance probably to start again. I mean, you know, the Jets haven't given up on Zach Wilson yet. I'm sure the Steelers wouldn't have given up on Kenny Pickett had he had just, you know, waited. But now I don't see the kid ever starting again, unfortunately. But the result of that, almost 24 to 48 hours later, we get another trade. Omar Khan, probably over in Cancun or wherever the heck he is, you know, texting away on his phone, traded away our 2025 6th-round pick in exchange for Justin Fields, as long as Justin Fields doesn't play more than 51% of snaps. And if he does, we have to trade a 4th-round pick, which honestly still isn't that bad. But now our quarterback room went from Mitchell Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in a matter of 3 months. My mind is blown. My mind is blown. I mean, Justin Fields is very excited. Apparently, there were reports saying that like there was a lot of teams interested, and he wanted to come to Pittsburgh out of all of them. And although it was the lower deal, Chicago kind of did him a favor because, you know, I guess they're not passing up on Caleb Williams. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but if that's the case, you know, kudos to Chicago for giving, you know, letting Justin Fields pick the team that he wants to go to, even though it was a lesser, you know, deal. And then obviously, you know, having Russell Wilson here is just kind of funny. But I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens, but I don't see Justin Fields playing at all this year. I don't see him playing until like, if like something's weird's happening with Russ, I wouldn't see him start until like the bye week, if that, depending on when our bye week is, or like at the halfway part of the season, whenever it's like below 51% of snaps, because you know the Steelers aren't going to want to trade that 4th-round pick next year.
Yeah,
no. So, and I don't think any team would, because, you know, obviously we've had some, you know, good, decent picks in like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. So I would assume that you would still want to push to, you know, get rid of that 6th. But I mean, hey, Fields might be the future in Pittsburgh. But the one thing that is for sure that nobody's talking about, they're just talking about, you know, with the rose-colored glasses on and stuff like that. Like, we have this crazy quarterback room right now. Well, you got to figure out, the Steelers have to figure out what they're doing now, because you have to either pick up Justin Fields' 5th-year option next year.
$25 million, by the way.
Which is, yeah, $25 million. And he's not going to start this year, theoretically speaking. And obviously, you're also going to have Russell Wilson, who is probably also going to want to try to get one last big boy contract before he retires. So probably like a 3-year deal, and then that'd be it. And if he wants to stay with Pittsburgh, he might, but that might also be another, you might be looking at, $15 million. Will the Steelers be willing to pay that is the big question. Now, we might have a fun year this year with the 2 quarterback room, but in my opinion, it does raise a lot of questions for 2025 because this could get really ugly really fast. And I don't know what quarterback we're going to get in the draft, because that's who I'm assuming we're drafting in the draft is another quarterback for a 3rd string. But I don't know who we're going to get.
Another quarterback?
We have only 2 on the quarterback room right now. It's probably going to be like 4th or 5th round, buddy. It's not going to be like a 1st round quarter. It's not going to be like a, like a Drake May or a Michael Penix. It'll probably be someone like a 4th or 5th that like plays for Tulane or something. I don't know. I'll have to go through a quarterback room and look.
What about y'all's wide receivers? I mean, come on. Are you running with Calvin Austin and George Pickens? I mean,
and Van Jefferson. It's a legendary pair. I mean, I don't know what we're doing with that, because I thought apparently rumors are coming out. So the Steelers have been interested in literally every wide receiver. Literally every wide receiver. Everyone's heard about Brandon Ayuk. People have heard about the Tyler Boyd, signings, impossible with that. Apparently Omar Khan was just calling anybody with like extra wide receivers. So like, I don't even know if that's like real or not, but because I know Pittsburgh radio likes to stir up the pot. Because like I even heard a report at one point that was like, oh yeah, the Steeler Omar Khan even called like the Rams to see what the offer would be for Cooper Kupp, and I was like, I don't think that would ever happen, and don't get those words twisted, because it would never happen. But the fact of the matter that like he's been like, if that is true, he's just calling everybody. So I think that what is that?
Do you see this? Have you seen this yet? So
money,
this is what
money talks, bull crap, walks.
This is what Brandon Ayuk, who you just mentioned, posted on his Instagram story yesterday. So it sounds like him and John Lynch aren't on great speaking terms about getting a deal. Then of course George Kittle posted this on his story. Which I don't know what this means. Don't walk, bag of money,
pray,
dog.
I don't know what that means. I think he might honestly just be making fun of Brandon Ayuk at that point.
Don't walk, bag of money, aliens feast. Let aliens feast, dog. I think.
No, don't let aliens eat dogs for money. Also pray about bags, red bags. Pray, don't walk, but pray for red money bags, because aliens eat dogs. So I don't know what that means at all.
So,
but
is Brandon Ayuk going to be a Steeler? We've also heard Tyler Boyd's going to be a Steeler. Like you said, they're calling everyone.
Yeah, they've called everyone. I don't know at this point. I was expecting after the Justin Fields trade, I was expecting sometime that week for us to figure out who our wide receiver was going to be. But nothing really has come up of it. And apparently, as of right now, Tyler Boyd kind of wants a little bit too much money. Like they can't get on the same page with salary, more or less. So that's what I've been hearing, is that just like there is a mutual interest. They both want to, Tyler Boyd wants to come to Pittsburgh, but the salary for the Steelers is just not meeting what Tyler Boyd wants for his salary. And it's the same thing with Brandon Ayuk. Is Brandon Ayuk, the Steelers want Brandon Ayuk, but the 49ers want like, a 1st round pick for him. And the Steelers are like, no, we're not doing that. I mean, I wouldn't give up a 1st round pick for Brandon Ayuk personally. I mean, you could draft a 1st round wide receiver at that point who might have that same amount of talent that Brandon Ayuk has, and he might have it for a longer longevity. But the Steelers have a lot to do, because they still need the wide receiver room. They still need to work on their line, and they still probably need one more cornerback, because I do think it's Dante Banks is his name. Dante Banks, I think. The cornerback from Carolina. We traded with him when we traded Deontay Johnson away. And I think that he's going to be a decent quarterback. I mean, like, would you... no, it's Dante Jackson. It's Dante Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, because oh my gosh, it's such an annoying thing. Deontay Johnson for Dante Jackson. But yes, it's nonetheless, that cornerback from Carolina we got in the trade, I don't think is going to be that bad. It's just his cap hit is pretty heavy. But I think he's going to be decent. And then you have Joey Porter Jr., but we still need another quarterback. There's a lot of pieces that Omar Khan has yet to fill. And I feel like time will tell who will go where. I mean, free agency, although it started a couple weeks ago, it really just started. There's still a lot of time between now and the draft because maybe the Steelers are waiting until after the draft to figure out what else they need. You know, you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of teams that might be doing that. So, but yeah, it's an interesting circumstance over here in Pittsburgh because there's a lot of unknown. There's a very lot of unknown.
Well, you know who has been doing phenomenal in NFL free agency?
Let me guess. The Cincinnati Bengals.
You are exactly right.
They are going to the Super Bowl
with
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow and not Joe Mixon because they cut Joe Mixon.
No, they traded Joe Mixon.
They got rid of Joe Mixon.
Get it twisted. Don't get it twisted.
Okay, they got rid of him. They're going to New Orleans because Chase and Burrow are going
Testify.
Okay. Go ahead. What do you want to go ahead? Go talk.
We now know the contract details of one Mr. Trent Brown, right tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a 6'8" beast on a 1-year, $4.4 million deal, only $2 million guaranteed. And I love this contract, and I'm going to tell you why I love this contract. Because everyone was saying when the Bengals signed it, all of the Twitter replies were, oh, this guy gets injured easily. Oh, this guy has attitude issues. Well, guess what? I said I didn't care before, and I don't care now. The Bengals have already said no to signing people in free agency because they didn't get along with their attitudes. Now, apparently they got along with Trent Brown. They figured it out. Trent Brown's here to win a Super Bowl. And you know what? If he gets injured, we only owe him $2 million guaranteed. And this does not mean Bengals are not drafting a right tackle in the first 2 rounds. In fact, Troy Fautanu would be a great pick because he can also play guard. Same with J.C. Latham. I would draft one of those 2 guys, put him at left guard, and then if Trent Brown happens to get hurt, you can move him to right tackle, and he can learn behind Trent Brown while he's there as a rookie, whether it's Latham, Fautanu, one of these other guys. Buagwa somehow falls to us. Trent Brown is a Cincinnati Bengal. This is the best O-line Joe Burrow has ever had. I still have this little list here I made from when I made the original Trent Brown video. And the Bengals 2021 offensive line was terrible. Jonah Williams, Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Michael Jordan, not that Michael Jordan, different Michael Jordan, Riley Reif, Akeem Adeniji, and Jackson Carman also got some snaps. Quentin Spain and Trey Hopkins haven't played a snap since that Super Bowl in the NFL. That's how bad they were. Akeem Adeniji is now with the Browns. I'm pretty sure he's on the practice squad, and no one can figure out why the Browns even wanted him. We've loaded up this offensive line. Cincinnati Bengals are ready. If they get a nose tackle in free agency, this free agency would have been perfect. They know this is their last season with T. Higgins, and they are going all in.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that they were going to trade him away to Kansas City since Kansas City really needs a wide receiver over there.
No, we ain't. You would need to give me to give T to Kansas City. I would need Travis Kelce, tickets to every Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, but you're not the GM.
And 3
You're not the GM.
Picks. No, I'm not but Duke Tobin's the same way. Duke Tobin doesn't do trades like this. And Mike Brown's not going to sign that. He's not going to sign off on that.
All right. Well, listen. I figured T was going to get traded, but
Kansas City though?
At the time, yeah, I felt like Kansas City would make the most sense just because like they are the one team that really could use a wide receiver. Now they figured it out. They're figuring it out. But like at the time I did. I don't think so. Now it looks like Cincinnati's trying to roll with none other than T. Higgins as that wide receiver too for the last year. But, you know, I don't see him, sticking around for next year. Now here, I want to throw a hypothetical at you real quick. So
Okay.
if the Bengals are 4-4 by week 8, which is around the trade deadline, you're at like 500. Would you trade T. Higgins away? Or would you still try to make that final push? Would you debate it on the schedule? Like, what would you do if you were in that situation? Because like you're at 4-4, maybe, you know, like you had like 2 division wins, maybe, or 1 division win. You've beaten 2 NFC teams and an AFC team, but you've lost, like you're in a weird spot right now. You might have a tough schedule ahead of you, you know. When would you trade T, or would you just kind of like roll it out and just like not have to deal with trade deadline at all? Would you not even trade them, no matter, even if you were 0-8 by the time trade deadline came around? Not saying you would be, but
I tell you what, if we are 4-4 with this team by week 8, something went wrong. Someone got hurt. Something bad happened. Zach Taylor got shot or something, because our opponents this year, remember, we have that 4th place schedule now.
Yeah.
Last season, and this is objective fact, the Bengals had the exponentially hardest schedule of any team in the NFL. Like, if you look at the strength of schedule charts, it's not even close. The Bengals are like in the top right corner by themselves. And they didn't have Joe Burrow for half the season, and the Bengals still went 9-8,
which is actually pretty impressive. You guys weren't that far out of playoffs,
and we lost like we lost Chidobe Awuzie. We upgraded at right tackle, in my opinion, from Jonah Williams to Trent Brown. We lost Tyler Boyd, but Charlie Jones and Yoshi both look good. I think that this team is better than last year. And Joe Mixon, I love Joe Mixon. Don't get me wrong. I love Tyler Boyd. I love Joe Mixon. But I think I like Zach Moss's pass protection better. I like that they're going to this running back by committee move, getting cheaper in the running back room, because that is what championship teams do. And we've got Chase Brown. We have Zach Moss. We can draft a 3rd running back as well. Audric Estime out of Notre Dame is an option. He's kind of a bigger back. Blake Corum is another good back that we can maybe get in the 3rd or 4th round. There are options in this draft at running back. They're not going to be like super like Bijan Robinson or something like that. But there are moves you can make in the draft for running back. If we are at 500 by week 8, I don't know how that's even possible. I mean, sure, we get to play the Commanders, the Patriots.
You don't know, man. The Commanders could have a legendary team with all of their old guys on that team. That could be a Hall of Fame legendary team that you're going up against with a very young quarterback. It's going to be like Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, and all these like old heads. And then you're going to have someone like Jaden Daniels. And well, Jaden Daniels probably go to New England, but still.
We play New England too. They're going to smoke you with Jaden Daniels. We got the Raiders. We got, of course, we got the Chiefs again. We got the Panthers. We got the New York Giants, the Los Angeles Chargers, who just traded like everyone. Yeah, we're playing that division this year, so that's why you're playing the Chiefs. But I mean, like we even get the like 4th place guys in the divisions that we aren't sharing, like Carolina. But I think this is going to be a fun season for the Bengals. I think the Bengals missing the playoffs is not an excuse. The Ravens are falling apart. Mike McDonald left the Ravens. Their defense is leaving. Half of them went to Pittsburgh for some reason. Honestly, you guys are probably the biggest threat at this point. I will take that, honestly. I mean, I would rather us two be at the top fighting for it than having to deal with the Cleveland Baltimore fighting for the division again, because that was miserable. I personally don't know what the heck Cleveland's doing. I don't think there's anybody that I don't know how many Browns fans watch the show or whatnot, but when it comes to Cleveland, I don't really know what's going on with them, because they have like their whole 7 million quarterbacks that they have now, because they signed Jameis Winston, they have Deshaun Watson, they have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and who was that other guy that they signed? I forget right now. They had another guy that they signed, and I'm like, why? Like, what is the point of? Let's see here. They lost Joe Flacco though. I mean, Joe Flacco was their guy. That was their guy, but now they have to roll with Jameis Winston, Madden 16 GOAT. Tyler Huntley Ravens former backup.
Yeah. That I just felt it's just so weird that they have all these random quarterbacks. Like, I don't think they're necessarily random, but like, why would you like at an extent, like if you know that like Deshaun Watson is going to start, like why would you waste your money on getting Jameis Winston and Tyler Huntley and stuff? I mean, I don't know. They're probably going to have to cut one of them. They're going to have to cut at least one of them. You're not going to put. Are you going to put Dorian Thompson-Robinson on your practice squad? I guess somebody's going to pick him up.
Maybe.
But okay.
I thought Dorian Thompson-Robinson was going to be so much better than what he was. He was such a disappointment. My favorite Tyler Huntley highlight is, of course, the fumble in the jungle. So got that. And then Deshaun Watson stinks. Like I still have
so bad.
I still have Browns fans trying to convince me that like, oh, he's going to be better than Joe Burrow. You just wait. He's more athletic than Joe Burrow. He's quicker than Joe Burrow. He's a better passer than Joe Burrow.
Dude is old, and he sat out for like a year and a half. He's
Chus, you just gotta wait for him to be healthy. Just wait. It's coming.
It's never gonna happen.
It's worth it. It's gonna be worth it.
All right. Well, okay. Now, so when it comes to Cleveland and Baltimore, I don't look at Baltimore as big of a threat. I don't want people to like get mad at me because Ravens fans are going to be stomping in here right now, like shaking my house, and they're going to be like, "You're wrong. We're going to be fine." I don't know. I don't think you're going to have that like number one spot secured. I mean, you're going to have to verse some tough teams this year. But Cleveland, I just never know what the heck's going on with Cleveland. I just don't know at this point. But when it comes to you guys, real quick, when it comes to the Bengals, switching gears after the AFC North. That isn't the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ravens, or the Browns. We were talking about the Bengals a little bit. So who is your wide receiver 3? Is it Trenton Irwin? Did you guys sign him to that contract you said? The extension?
Yeah. So wide receiver 3 is kind of an interesting subject there in Cincinnati. We have Trenton Irwin. Yes, we did extend him, so he's there.
And you got Yoshiva.
Yoshi, yes, is also a wide receiver 3. Big guy. I like to see him on the outside. Charlie Jones could also be a good slot guy. 4th round pick last year out of Purdue. So he did get hurt, but there's still some potential there. Also, Mike Gesicki, and people are going to say, Mike Gesicki's a tight end, you idiot. I know Mike Gesicki is a tight end. He lines up as a receiver more often than he does as a tight end. I think I don't have the numbers right here with me, but he lines up like 71% of the time on the outside and only like 10% of the time in line as an actual tight end. So Mike Gesicki could also act as that extra wide receiver 3. So there are options, and it might be a mix of all of them, but I really like Yoshi. I really like what we've seen out of Yoshi so far. He's exciting. Mike Gesicki, I like having him across the middle there. That can kind of open Jamar and T up because the linebackers are going to have to cover him. Also, which we're going to talk about here in like 5 minutes, no one's going to be able to tackle him now, like every other tight end in the NFL because of the hip drop tackle being banned. But got Mike Gesicki. You got Trenton Irwin. There's some guys here. And Joe Burrow elevates whoever he's throwing to. It just happens.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's the thing. Like I was just curious because I know you talked about Trenton Irwin getting extended and stuff, and I didn't really know if you guys were. I assumed you guys probably weren't going to like go out of your way to get a wide receiver 3 because like someone like the Steelers, like for me, we need that extra wide receiver. We got rid of DJ, which I still think is a good move, but you're only leaving us with Calvin Austin III and Van Jefferson and whoever else may be in that wide receiver room. And I think that we need to draft somebody, and I think we need that extra wide receiver help, even a veteran presence or just somebody. Whereas you guys have 2 really good wide receivers, and you guys have the depth at wide receiver, or even with Mike Gesicki there as well to be playing as wide receiver 3. I just didn't know what it looked like in that direction, where you guys were going to go. Obviously, with the extension of Irwin, I didn't know if Irwin was going to be that guy because obviously for those people that are in dynasty leagues, they may want to go pick up Trenton Irwin if Trenton Irwin isn't already picked up. So nonetheless, I just figured, I'd ask about that. But at least the Bengals kind of have some sort of idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, vague idea. Duke
idea.
Tobin's cooking at 10 p.m. at night. But you know who's not cooking is the NFL competition committee.
Yeah, they suck. There was also something today. What are they changing from the kickoff? They're doing something similar to the XFL now.
Yeah, they changed the kickoff, which I kind of like that, to be honest, if I understand it correctly. I think it's going to promote actual kick returns and not just having everyone just fair catch. So I kind of like that. I need to read more into that so that I can grasp a better understanding of it. But I was trying to read about this hip drop tackle rule, and nobody understands this. Literally, like, no one wanted this except for the NFL owners. The NFLPA specifically came out and said, hey, we don't want this. This is really bad. It's going to make defense almost impossible to play. And the NFL owners unanimously kind of gave them the middle finger and banned it anyway. Also, okay. We got us a comment here. Wouldn't that hip drop ban benefit the Ravens more than any other team in the NFL? Lamar, Henry, Andrews, how are teams supposed to get these free? Exactly. So here's the thing about the hip drop.
Oh, that actually is a really good point, because you were talking about like running backs and tight ends that can't be stopped. That like Silverwolf just said. I mean, like, they have those tools. They have a huge back in Derrick Henry, and they have that huge tight end in Mark Andrews. Baltimore is going 17-0. I mean, heck, every freaking, like, anyone you throw like freaking you'll throw Minka Fitzpatrick on him to try to do a tackle, and they'll be like, nope, 70-yard penalty. I don't even know what it is. Is it a fine? Is it penalty?
It's a 15-yard penalty and a first down along with potential fines.
Wow, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
So the NFL. So okay, this is from an article. The rule defines a hip drop tackle as occurring when a tackler grabs a ball carrier with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms, swivels, unweights himself by leaving the ground, then falls on the back of the ball carrier's lower legs. And the whole face of this hip drop thing was Logan Wilson. The whole, like...
Yeah, this is Logan Wilson's fault. This is your boy's fault.
Well, okay, that's what like Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport, that's what they were posting. They were like, here's this photo of Logan Wilson doing this. This is why this got banned. Then Rich McKay from the NFL Competition Committee comes out and he says, actually, Logan Wilson's tackle wouldn't have been a penalty under this rule. The play isn't in the video of examples that we showed the owners. So now no one knows what a hip drop tackle is. And again, to Silverwolf's point, people are saying, well, just run. You just got to run through the guy, which, yeah, there's truth to that. You're supposed to run through the guy as you're tackling them. That's the safest way to tackle. But someone like Derrick Henry is just going to stiff arm you into the ground. Like, I can't run through Derrick. This would be like you trying to tackle me. I'm 3 times your size. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because like if you were coming at me, you would probably just crush me. Like you would just like stiff arm me and I would fall to the ground because I just would be dead. Like I
was like, Tanner Hudson's going to get like 1,000 yards as our backup tight end. I don't even know why he throw to a wide receiver.
Like with Derrick Henry, they were talking about how he has 2,000 yards rushing the one season or whatever. He's probably going to do it again. He'll probably do it again. He'll probably get 2,000 yards.
Hey, Silverwolf, Trey McBride's about to have a season, just so you know. I hope you're excited for that because, yeah, I don't even know. I would just draft all tight ends. I don't even need wide receivers anymore.
No, tight ends, running backs. That's the league. You just need big boy buff running backs. It's just how it's going to be. Because like if Derrick Henry was coming at me, I would try to go for the legs. I would try to go for that hip drop tackle. Bro, I can't tackle him by the chest. He'll just shove me off. I'll fly backwards. I'll smack my head. I'll probably get concussed. He's a big boy, Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah. I can already see this is I know that this announcement is going to happen at some point, and it's going to be, they get They get Travis Kelce down right before the first down line. And then Tony Romo is going to be over. Oh, I don't know, Jim. I don't know. Oh, they're going to get him with a hip drop. Oh, free first down. Puts him in field goal range. Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl again. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen.
And it's going to be Logan Wilson that does it in the AFC Championship. And then the Bengals are going to get screwed again. I mean, listen, the problem is I do wonder how often this will be called, because I feel like at some point, like, you can't call every hip drop tackle, because you know that there's going to be a ton of hip drop tackles, because a lot of these players in the league and players that are developing, that are coming into it, have all been doing types of hip drop tackles. You can't just be like, it'd be like me being like, all right, I know you've been a quarterback forever, but like, you can't scramble anymore.
You can't pass.
Yeah, you can't pass the ball anymore. It's like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm just supposed to run, like, or it's like, or like the vice versa, how we were talking about with the scrambling. Like, it's like, yeah, as a quarterback, like, let's say you take like a Justin Fields or even like a Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's like, oh yeah, you can't scramble the ball anymore. It's like, well, that's what I've been doing forever. Sorry, you got to throw the ball now. It's a dangerous thing. It's like, what do you mean? Like, so I don't know. All right. Silver Wolf said, looking forward to McBride. I'm advocating for a trade down and the Cards taking Brock Bowers.
And they're in prime position to take Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. So
yeah.
That just shows where they're at. Like, okay, they could take Brock Bowers, but now it's like, let's trade down. We don't want Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's not gonna exploit this rule as much. Just to exploit the new rule. That's all he wants to do. That's the whole game. And I hate that the NFL came out and the competition committee came out and said, we're not doing this to create more flags. In fact, most of this will probably just result in more fines. Which they said like that was a good thing, but then everyone was like, "Oh, so you just want more money?"
Yeah, this isn't going to result in flags.
This
is more fines.
This is just more money for us. That's all it is. And also, it's for player safety, even though the players pretty much all are against it. And the one thing that we told them, or the one thing the players were against, we're still going to go with, which is adding an 18th game. And no bye week, no extra bye week, and having a doubleheader on Christmas still. We're still going to do that at some point.
Yeah, just a miserable lifestyle for the NFL.
We're doing this for player safety, which there is a safety level to it, of course. It is a somewhat dangerous tackle, but it's also football. It's a dangerous sport.
Yeah. I know this is just random, but now that we bring up Christmas and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't think the NFL should be playing on Christmas, to be honest, or like New Year's or anything like that. Like Thanksgiving, I get it's a tradition, but like I feel like Christmas has always been a weird one, just because like I don't personally watch football on Christmas unless it's the Steelers. But like on Thanksgiving, I will always watch football. Like that is just a tradition. But like I feel like Christmas and New Year's, even like New Year's, because a lot of people are out drinking, they're just not going to be really watching football unless their home team is playing, So I always found that as a strange thing, and it kind of goes into the hip drop tackle thing. It's like it's just more ways to get money, but are they really getting money? I don't.
Well, they're getting money, but I don't think there's any player safety. I don't think player safety is this. They're trying to crown this as a player safety thing, and it's not a player safety thing. It's a money thing.
No, 100%. And I think that's, in my opinion, it's really depressing that it's come down to it. It's just the NFL trying to make more money. They don't really care about the safety. They say that they do, but they actually don't. And now here we are. And the NFL, if this continues with the hip drop tackles and stuff like that, which I'm sure it will, the NFL will be evolving and changing into a different type of football game. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, what does that mean? Well, as Josh mentioned like 5-10 minutes ago on the show, wide receivers aren't going to be that relevant anymore. The players that are going to be first overall picked, other than quarterbacks, are going to be tight ends and running backs, like big boy running backs and like Brock Bauer type tight ends. So just because the wide receivers are just going to not be, they're going to be looked at, but like, they're just not going to have the same momentum shift as like I'm going to send a Derrick Henry down the throat of the O-line, and no one's going to be able to tackle him, and he's going to go down 40 yards for a touchdown. Whereas a wide receiver, he might get 20 yards, but he'll be tackled immediately. It's like, what's the positive and the negative there? So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this move.
Yeah, I think it's dumb.
I'm
really hoping we go a year with this, and then like the
They're
game is just awful, and they're like, yeah, let's get rid of this. This is pretty stupid. But we will see. We did have a trade occur a few days ago. Big trade, actually, and I'm happy with it. That would be Mr. L'Jarius Sneed, who was originally franchise tagged by the Kansas City Chiefs, has been traded to the Tennessee Titans. And I am choosing to believe that this is Brian Callahan saying, hey, let's get this guy out of Kansas City. He has been one of the few guys who's consistently locked up Jamar Chase. I'm going to try and get him out of there so the Bengals can go to another Super Bowl. So Brian Callahan is helping out the Cincinnati Bengals still from Tennessee. That is the narrative I am choosing to believe. But Kansas City really only got a 3rd round pick next year, and then they had a 7th round swap as well. But L'Jarius Sneed got paid quite a bit of money. 4 years, $76.4 million, with $55 million guaranteed and $20 million signing bonus, according to Ian Rappaport. So big moves for Tennessee. I know Stan wasn't a huge fan of this move. I like it. What do you think of this move?
No, I think it's solid. I mean, I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, obviously, Tennessee's, trying to make that push to try to build themselves up. They've been kind of not as relevant as they had been, 15, 20 years ago per se. I mean, obviously they have had some in between years where they're like 9-8, 10-7, or that AFC championship run that they had. But like, that was like, they came in as almost like in a college basketball equivalent, just because I'm so college basketball oriented right now because of March Madness. Derrick Henry and that Tennessee team was like your Cinderella team in the playoffs. Like, they went all the way up, and nobody expected them to make it as far as they did, but they did. They lost in the AFC championship. But here nor there, when it comes to like this move, I'm kind of glad that Sneed went to Tennessee, because I feel like Tennessee might actually, be able to work with it. Whereas instead of like Kansas City, trading Sneed to like a Baltimore or somebody that like, that's been a powerhouse, or even like a Buffalo, you trade them over to Buffalo or some of these like really powerhouse teams, they're just going to get better and better. And I feel like it's a nice equalizer. Why didn't Stan like this trade again? Was it just like the value in exchange, or like what was the reason behind it? Let me
pull up the text. He said something about how it felt like I want to get his exact words, but essentially it seemed like he thought that they were just making random moves.
The Titans.
Oh, so I said L'Jarius Sneed to Titans, and Stan said, just saw that. I hate that move. And I said what the trade was going to be. Stan said, they're going nowhere fast. I wanted to see Sneed in the playoffs again. I like watching his game, so it just sucks he's going there. I wanted him contending with the Steelers, ideally. I like the move, though. I like Chidobe is down there now, and L'Jarius Sneed. That's going to be a good combination, I think, at least for a few years. L'Jarius Sneed is a very good, I can say this now because he's no longer a Chief. He is a very good cornerback. He has
come on, Josh. Come on. You're telling me you couldn't say that until he left Kansas City?
I couldn't compliment him. But now that he's with Brian Callahan down in Nashville, I can support him, I suppose.
Honestly, I want to say, like, I wouldn't count out Tennessee this year. I wouldn't. I know a lot of people, even Stan, are saying, kind of implying that Tennessee's kind of not going to be a contending team. But honestly, even without the Derrick Henry and whatnot, they've made some moves. I mean, their quarterback situation with Will Levis is uncertain. Obviously, you don't really know. He only played one season last year, and he looked okay. I mean, towards the end of the season, he was looking a little bit rough, but with Mason Rudolph behind him, you never know. Obviously, Will Levis might be in a decent situation, but nice zoom, by the way.
I hit the button on accident.
But yeah, I think Will Levis, definitely will start. It'll just determine how well he'll do, and then depending on how well he does, could really set the precedence for the rest of the season. Or if he doesn't do well, or pull him in and Mason Rudolph goes in, how he does will show the precedence. It might not be this season, but I wouldn't roll them out just yet. I think they have a lot of potential.
Yeah, the AFC South is weird too. You got the Colts, which I think they should be pretty good. They brought back most of their free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we don't know. We've seen Anthony Richardson. Things look promising with Anthony Richardson, but we haven't seen him play a full season yet.
He only played 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, he looks promising.
He looked promising in those couple of games. So
Colts fans should be very optimistic. I'm excited to see that Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. offense. Josh Downs looked great. You've got some good guys on defense. Then you got the Jaguars, which the Jaguars have lost some key players. Calvin Ridley is now with the Titans as well.
Mm-hmm.
They also collapsed at the end of last season for some reason. I don't really know that there's an explanation. Trevor got hurt a little bit, but even then it was kind of iffy. And then who is the final team in? I always forget the fourth team in the AFC South. Colts, Jaguars, Titans,
Texans.
How
do you always forget the Texans?
I always forget the Texans because the Texans sucked up until last year. So
yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I think the Texans will probably be the one of the better teams out of that division.
Yeah, the Texans are going to be great. But I mean, if the Titans can somehow find a way to win both games against the Jaguars, win one game against the Colts, maybe sneak away with a game against the Texans, they might have a pretty good record. I don't know that they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think
9-8, baby.
I think they'll have. I think they could get a winning record.
Yeah, I don't see that they couldn't.
Let's see who the Titans have to play.
They finished in last this year.
Yeah.
They finished in last, so they'll have to play the Cincinnati Bengals, the New England Patriots, and
the New York Jets.
The Jets, those three. But I don't know what division they play.
The Commanders.
Well, that's the
Bears.
NFC. That's the NFC. I was trying to see what they played in the AFC.
AFC they play Texans, Colts, Jags, Patriots, Jets, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills.
Oh, so Jags. they play the East. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it'd be kind of funny if they lose to the Jets. Stan the Jet fan might be kind of disappointed.
Yeah, maybe that'll open up the season. Tennessee and the Jets, and then we'll hear Stan the Jet fan's thoughts on this. So
BC and the boys are going to be cooking down there in Nashville, though.
We've got a long way to go, though. I mean, it's going to come quicker than you think, but the NFL season is a lot longer away than I thought it was. It's only March.
But
the season doesn't start until September, and I'm sad.
And I have already declared the Bengals Super Bowl champions.
I thought you were going to say, and I've already declared for the NFL draft.
Well, speaking of the NFL draft, we should probably start some draft coverage here in the coming weeks. Since it is April, NFL free agency is kind of winding down a little bit, even though the Steelers are looking for a wide receiver still, and the Bengals are looking for a nose tackle still. But we're gonna have to do some draft coverage. Who are our favorite prospects? And I know you're still in March Madness. How's your bracket doing, by the way?
Mine's not looking hot. I'm not. I mean, I still have a chance right now. I know a lot of people aren't going to like my pick, but I actually had Creighton win the entire tournament. And Creighton is still on at the Sweet 16 right now. So we'll see. I have Creighton and Iowa State in my championship, and Iowa State is also going to the Sweet 16. So those are my two teams that I'm banking on. A lot of my Cinderella picks failed. James Madison lost to Duke, which I probably should have assumed that James Madison was not going to beat Duke.
But they beat Wisconsin.
They did beat Wisconsin.
And Andrew Gillis tweeted, "Oh yeah, you're so smart. You totally picked James Madison over Wisconsin before the game happened." So I was like, just because of that tweet, I'm picking James Madison over Wisconsin.
I did. I actually had James. I actually had James Madison.
Andrew Gillis.
I had James Madison in my Elite Eight. I had some really wonky picks this year. I did. Listen. I had some crazy picks this year. I did. I had in my round of 32 down in the lower quadrant with Arizona and North Carolina in that one. I had Arizona losing to Long Beach State, and I had Long Beach State versus whoever that team would have been. And then it would have been the 7-seeded team over there, but I can't remember. And then I had Colgate playing. I'll have to look at my bracket because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's not going too hot. But I had a wonky bracket this year. I also had Kentucky. Listen, my Final Four wasn't too unrealistic over the past couple of years based on how it's been over the past couple of years, but I guess my picks were bad. I know people are going to, I had Dayton versus Long Beach State, and Long Beach State was the 15 seed. I had New Mexico upsetting Clemson. And then I had Colgate upsetting Baylor because I don't trust Baylor as a 3 seed after I picked them to win the tournament one year as a 3 seed and they freaking lost in the round of 64. So I said Colgate versus New Mexico, and I was going to have Dayton versus New Mexico in the Sweet 16 because I figured this is madness. This is not February fun time. This is March Madness. So I had some madness happening, but the only like quadrant that I have that's good right now is the freaking top one, the East. The East one. The East is pretty good. I have UConn and San Diego State in the Sweet 16. I had that. I had Illinois and Iowa State. Like I had that one pretty good. I fell apart down on the bottom, but yeah, holding on to Creighton. Creighton's got a win for me. Creighton and Iowa State. But just remember, for anyone that's out there right now, when it comes to basketball, football aside, the ACC is the best conference in basketball. And I know that's a controversial take, but we got 4 boys still in there. But you got NC State as your Cinderella. You got Duke in there. You got UNC, and you got Clemson. ACC best conference.
I would say the Big Ten, but yeah, most of them are out now.
Yeah, best conference. You're the best conference. Kentucky's out. You got some heavy hitters out. I'm telling you, ACC.
But, hey, I've only gotten 3 wrong so far. My bracket is 98.6% accurate, and I don't watch college basketball. So my friends that I'm doing like the competition with are very annoyed.
What did you get wrong?
Baylor, Kentucky, and Auburn.
Huh. Interesting. Baylor, Kentucky, and Auburn. So you had Kentucky winning. You had Baylor on the upset, I'm guessing.
I had Baylor beating not getting upset.
Oh.
I don't know. Those are the only 3 schools I have out. UNC, as long as they go all the way, I'll be happy.
Hey, UNC is an ACC team. So ACC best basketball conference. I will stand on that hill.
Fair enough. Well, let's see. Let's double check, make sure there's no breaking news, and then we can finish this up. Thank you, Silverwolf, for joining.
Yeah, and also when it comes to football, I know the ACC isn't that dominant compared to like some of those other conference schools.
Compared to basketball.
But basketball is a whole different breed, man. Basketball is ACC loves their basketball schools.
So no breaking news. We do have a mock draft from Chad Reuter, and he has them the Vikings taking JJ McCarthy 4th overall. So
that's interesting, but it's not really news. It's a theory.
It's a theory. That is true. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to sign off here. Let me pull up my spiel. It's a very good spiel.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Let's see here. And then we're gonna go to this. Thank you for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube at No Butts Show. Our social media pages are NoButts_show on Instagram and No Butts Show on TikTok. My Twitter is Josh_Butts_2001. And if you would like to reach us, you can email us at bullmoosepodcast2. That's the number 2 at gmail.com. Finally, our spread shop will be in the description, so check out the merch and help support the show. Once again, if you enjoyed today's show, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, go do something nice for someone.